So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you need to check? I do. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right here, I'll get you one, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Here, made it. I'd always eat some.
All right. Can I get your signature?
Today is one of those days. It wasn't easy. I made it. Me too.
Yeah. At a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know, I got behind a bus coming out of East Aurora. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. There's no way. I'm gonna get back there. You know, it's okay if the first stop, but like the third one, I was like, come on.
Well, and then there's a volleyball team too, so there's no parking. I'm looking.
I'm watching.
I'm 9 miles
The different
away.
things happening.
Oh, my God.
At least
Okay.
5 days.
We like that.
Yes.
This meeting to order. I'd like to take a moment of personal reflection or a silent prayer, please. Kelly, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Look at you on the chair. Look at my, it's still raining. It's so
Yeah, it got smaller, didn't it?
Motion, please, to approve the agenda. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Julio. Very appreciated. Thank you so much. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oh, that motion is carried. Now we are up to commendations and communications. This is the fun time right now.
So I am very proud to be able to award our first round of our Mr. Ron Shoup Award and our Leader of the Pack Award. So I will start with the Mr. Ron Shoup Memorial Award. We were able to receive nominations from the community to nominate one of our stellar educators. And Mr. Ron Shoup was employed by Olean City School District for over 40 years as a 7th grade health teacher and coach. Ron coached and taught thousands of students over the years. As a teacher, Ron was loved and respected by his students. He had high expectations for them. He knew just how important his ever-evolving curriculum was for his students. This award honors a teacher in our district who consistently goes out of their way for students. And our very first recipient of this award is Angela Mess. Angela had indicated that she may not be here right at the beginning of the meeting, so she may not be here to get this award, but I do want to read her nomination so you can hear all of her wonderful qualities that led to her nomination. And so she was nominated because she goes above and beyond for everyone she meets. Angela supports her exceptional students in every aspect possible, physically, emotionally, mentally, and even financially by spending her own money on outings and activities. Angela helps organize the United basketball games for our kids as well. Angela stays hours for the dances, the school dances, so that she can accompany our students to the dances in the hopes that it will ease our minds and include our children more. Angela hosts a showcase at Christmas. She teaches our students how to interact with lots of people and gives them all jobs, speeches, and projects to showcase. The children proudly work for weeks. Angela invites all the families along with the staff from the district to attend, and our children host the event. Angela and her ladies proudly teach our children interaction skills, and it's a beautiful sight to see. Angela defines above and beyond. When parents like myself are afraid to send our children to new places because we fear the unknown for them, because our children can't always say the words, they can't always say the words to express happiness, sadness, excitement, anger, anxiety, or other emotions. But Angela, who has the patience of a saint, uses the multitude of methods to communicate with our children. And she brings out the joy, happiness, love, and excitement to learn in our children. She sometimes gets put into situations where our kiddos' emotions take over, and she shows our children complete compassion and kindness. As a mother, I couldn't ask for more. I am honored to have her as my son's teacher, educator, and role model on a daily basis. She is teaching my son every single day to be the best little human he can be. Angela is an absolute asset, not only to the Husky community, but to the Olean community as well. She is an absolute blessing to our town, and she makes sure to incorporate inclusivity on a daily basis. She takes our children on field trips to teach them daily living skills while also blessing our beautiful community with more inclusion. She is a phenomenal educator and our wonderful district is truly blessed to have her on the team. I know our family is sure blessed to have her on our team. And that's Angela Mess. She's not here because she's actually doing just what this is saying, helping our kids. So we want to really recognize Angela, and we're so proud that she is our very first Mr. Ron Shute Memorial Award winner.
Very nice.
Also are very proud to present our Leader of the Pack Award. And the Leader of the Pack Award honors a staff member of Olean City School District who is also a leader in their own right and who goes above and beyond their job description to make Olean a special place for students. And so we had so many wonderful nominations that we were able to make multiple awards this year, because this is such an important nomination and we wanted to recognize who the community had raised. So our very first recipient of the Leader of the Pack Award goes to Mark Nolan. We'll read the nomination for Mr. Nolan. Everyone is overwhelmed with the current state of education and getting things done in the district. However, Mark is always willing to find a way to help. And when he is assigned a job to do, he is always friendly, courteous, never complains, never makes you feel bad for asking him to do his job. And his work is always done with pride and beyond expectations. He keeps us up to date on the progress of our needs. And I don't ever remember hearing him complain. Congratulations to Mark. That's okay. And then Charmaine Hill is our next recipient. So once again, here's the nomination for Charmaine. Charmaine is amazing. She's the most flexible person I've ever met on the workplace. This is the second time she's been a staff in my classroom, once as a one-on-one, which she was amazing with the student. And then she jumped in as my classroom aide when mine quit unexpectedly. She is wonderful in difficult situations as well as working with me in all situations. She always goes above and beyond for the students and for her colleagues and is never asked to do so. She does it all because she is that type of person. Congratulations. Nancy Martin is our next Leader of the Pack Award, and she was nominated because she is the quintessential teacher aide for as long as I've known her. She steps up to every challenge with a smile and an enthusiastic willingness to help. As the OIM's in-school suspension room monitor, she displayed a remarkable ability to apply a stern yet friendly discipline code while extracting the best from each student she worked with. She went the extra mile to connect with students connect students to the classroom time they might be missing by working closely with faculty to facilitate uninterrupted learning. She earned the respect of children she oversaw as well as that of her administration and peers. She's appreciated for her flexibility and unwavering support of the overall daily function of the school building. She is certainly part of the glue that holds the district together. I hear she is now going to be assigned to Jerry Tritley's office as an administrative keyboard specialist. I am thrilled with this news as I believe she will make an excellent addition to the office team. Congratulations, Nancy. Last but certainly not least, Leader of the Pack Award, it goes to Sarah Williams. So Sarah is extremely hardworking, but also makes time for students and coworkers that are in need. Sarah makes sure to help or guide you in the right direction. She always greets with a smile and makes you feel so good to come to work every day. So congratulations to Sarah. One who is our awardee this period, and we will have opportunities for the community to continue to nominate our amazing staff and award further awards in the future. So there will always be more information out about that. And then Melissa and I are going to make sure we get some pictures with the awardees. Very good.
Yes.
Yes.
Please
All right.
do.
You need a hand with gift cards?
Probably.
They all the same?
Thank you. They're all the same.
Sure. I'll never say no to a gift.
Okay.
See that, Mark?
Well, you can be the
I love it.
We'll start with Mark. Congratulations. All right, our next one is Sarah.
There's Sarah here. Congratulations, Sarah.
Charmaine. Here you go, thank you. And then Nancy.
No need.
No names. All right, that's fine. We're gonna take one big picture. Okay.
Where do
Where would you like? Right here is okay, and I can stand. Yeah.
All right, out in the hall.
I'll know, but, all right, we'll be back.
I'm telling you right now, I listen to everything Mickey tells me, so. You got it. Sounds good. We sure will. All right. So, wow, there's just like nothing better than that, right? Holy cow, my gosh, that's wonderful. We also want to recognize that School Board Recognition Week is going to be October 17th through the 21st. So I'll say thank you to all of my school board members now, and then we'll recognize all of you later on. Any communications? Doesn't look like we've received any communications since the last meeting, so that's good to know. So we're up to public comment. So we have a number of public comment speakers here tonight. So I just want to read the rules here a little bit. So we've allotted 15 minutes for public comment. Each individual called upon can speak for 3 minutes. The board can vote to increase the 15-minute maximum if we wish. A speaker sign-in sheet's available. We already know about that. You've already signed in. And I will call from the sign-in sheet after I get done reading these rules. The following are not permitted. The use of an individual staff member's name, comments that involve personalities, comments about the performance or the conduct of individual staff members, comments about specific and/or confidential student-related issues. Again, individuals may request to have an item for discussion placed on the agenda. The request should be submitted in writing to this district clerk, Mrs. Irizarry, no later than noon on the Wednesday prior to each meeting, but as you know, we do have the sign-in sheet as well. So the first person I see on here is Timothy Callahan.
It's for,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Michelle
Is it on my
Wiesman.
list here? And because I'm looking off of one that's bigger so I can see it better. Is it, are they on
Yeah,
here?
Rochelle's on.
Oh, Rochelle is on here, yeah. I didn't have her placed on mine for some reason. Oh, she's up at the top, sorry.
Can I just stand here?
Sure, we'll turn. We'll go around here.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Wiesman. I'm a parent, an educator, and a community member. I want to talk about 2 things specifically tonight. As an educator, I understand how the teacher shortage is affecting schools. But I would like to talk about how our district is not necessarily only facing a teacher shortage, but a mass exodus of teachers to surrounding districts. I ask, why are they leaving? Are they getting better contracts? Are they closer to home? Are they getting a more supportive administration or board of ed? I don't have the answer to that. But regardless, it's directly impacting our students. My son is currently enrolled in pre-calculus. When he signed up for this class, he was under the impression, and so was I, that he would gain knowledge and understanding of pre-calc and that it would be a college credit bearing course. I was recently informed by guidance that the students in this class might not receive this college credit. And I have a few concerns about this. The first is that parents and students were not formally told this information. I found out haphazardly and then went right to guidance to ask the question rather than spur the rumor mill. Olean continues to fall short in transparency and communication with parents. A similar situation happened with my older son with US history and government 3 years ago. The parents were not informed that they needed to take a precursor test. They needed to score a certain, they had to score a certain number on this test. And then I found out my son's accommodations for his 504 were not met when he took this test. Needless to say, my son did not get to college credit. And I think that falls short again in the lack of communication. So here we are 3 years later, where I was told that transparency and communication on such matters would improve, and they haven't. So the district has fallen short in communicating with parents about what's going on specifically with their students. The other thing I'd like to talk about is that something that's been on social media recently. I just wanted the district to be aware of it. There are several staff members within the district posting about an event that is supposed to take place on October 6th. It's called National Bring Your Bible to School Day. And I'll quote where it states, "We are encouraging the reading, treasuring and sharing of God's word in school. And I wanted to make sure the district was aware of this so that you have a plan in place to protect separation of church and state, because we don't need another scandal surrounding something like this. Thank you.
Now I will go off of the list here. I have Timothy Callahan. Talk about, well, there's 3 different people talking about OHS sports, so is it all the same?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yes.
So I have Lisa Pfeiffer and Justine Callahan. Will you all be speaking or just one of you speaking? Just
Mostly
one?
me, but they may add.
Okay, good enough then.
Yeah.
That's
I'm not sure if this email is sent to people. I'm not sure if they've had time to review it or if I should just assume not.
I did send it to the.
She did send it. Did everybody get a chance to look through it? Okay.
Should I assume that no, just do what I would normally do? just
I
go through
think
everything?
that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yes.
All right. Well, it's kind of a lot to unpack, but my daughter Jalen Callahan was left off the JV volleyball team after tryouts in late August, of which 14 tried out, 10 making the roster. 2 girls were able to play modified due to their young age, which you could make an argument is better that they play and get value experience as opposed to being on the JV team, essentially on the bench at JV level. That left my daughter and 1 other with no outlet to continue playing the sport she loves. It is worthy to note my daughter did not just pick the sport this year arbitrarily. She played modified league last year and was co-captain with the same coach who is JV coach now. She also participated in Octane, which is a club sport which required a several $100 entrance fee, and she practiced with the former head coach of the varsity team. This consisted of several weeks of practice culminating in 4 all-day tournaments in Erie, Buffalo, Rochester, and Olean. I tell you this to portray the fact that she committed her time and efforts and sacrificed a lot in the Olean volleyball program to become the best she could be. To be left off the team was devastating news for her and her family, to say the least. I proceeded to email 4 different individuals within the OHS hierarchy, stating what I strongly felt was a bona fide argument as to why the 2 girls should be placed on the team. Each email was met with the same unflappable refusal, with a shallow apology, but never really addressing my arguments or providing any tangible reason why. What I had learned is that each coach makes their own roster limits and that who they decide are on the team cannot be questioned even by the principal. The other thing I learned is that each leaned on saying that the process of roster choice was discussed amongst multiple individuals. When I processed to who those people were, that level of transparency was never disclosed. My daughter claimed only her coach and varsity were at tryouts. My biggest gripe was why. Why was a 10-person roster size steadfast in stone when if you Google JV girls volleyball, 90% of the teams that present themselves were 12 and above in the rest of the country? It would seem merely based upon that and the factor modified team the previous year had 12 as well. Why wouldn't you just keep it as 12 as opposed to singling out just 2 girls and dismissing them? Why make any cuts in sports at all unless the numbers truly make it implausible? It makes no sense at a humanitarian level, as well as my daughter was 110% already invested. She should be viewed as an asset to the program. Michael Jordan was cut as a freshman, and we know how that all turned out. A lot can change between 9th and 12th grade. They should not be given up on so early. I did not feel I was asking too much for this minuscule accommodation, not as a favor, but seemingly just the right thing to do for the kids. In a present era of social reform and inclusivity being in the limelight, it seemed incredibly counterintuitive to exclude any willing student athlete interested in obtaining life skills through participation in sport. Throw in the fact that participation interest in our youth dwindles each and every year due to technology dependence and other factors. Shouldn't the Olean high school system consider my daughter's consumptive interest in sport there as an absolute blessing and embrace with open arms, as opposed to instead providing a climate akin to a private club worthy of only the chosen few? I would like to think not, but my experience thus far with the feedback I've obtained makes it appear as if they are running a professional sports team, as opposed to providing a valuable platform for student athletes to participate and grow in the sports they love. I feel as a former OHS alum who at the age of 56, paying school taxes all these years to a public school, my child is not being given equal opportunity to pursue sports activities here that she would be afforded at many other schools in the area who have greater volleyball roster sizes, as is the norm. They offered to allow her to play tennis as some form of consolation prize. It seemed incredibly odd and seemingly unjustifiable that she would be welcomed with open arms at midseason to a sport where she has never even lifted a racket once in her life, but at the same time not allowed a minuscule accommodation to the sport she has trained for 2 years in. Why? That is the question I have asked over and over again and have been provided no answers. I strongly feel change needs to take place in the system at OHS in hopes future young athletes do not suffer as we have. Coaches should not be given carte blanche to set rosters with a checks and balances system of some form. Dismissing young athletes eager to join a sport should only be done as a last resort. Perhaps say any cuts under 5 be brought to the board and every consideration made to keep these kids active and a part of a sport. It only makes sense. The Olean high school system failed my child, pure and simple. In a day where it is news that teens are suffering from mental illness due to lack of being social with peers and forced to study from home during COVID, why would our school do anything to deter my child from being involved with others, as opposed to loathing in her room by herself, looking at TikTok? Why would you humiliate just 2 girls also and put the spotlight on them only as the 2 who are not good enough? It is bad enough what teens have to overcome with the self-esteem issues and suicide numbers escalating. But now the school is supposed to be fostering a healthy mental health environment is actually acting as a catalyst for the opposite when it's easily avoidable. It's so sad and disappointing on so many levels. It's hard to articulate the lack of response and tunnel vision from the leaders of our school. Add 2 girls to the roster. It's the easiest problem to solve. Makes no sense. One other thing I wanted to mention is they offered to make her a practice player and not be able to be there on game day. This was the hardest thing of all to figure out. You will practice my daughter, but for some reason consider it a hindrance to have one more girl on the sidelines cheering on her team. Like everything else, it just makes no sense at all. I felt being put in this situation seemed like punishment to her and more humiliation, which she certainly did not deserve and had already been subjected to enough of already, so I respectfully declined. At any rate, this is my story. I feel the system needs to be changed as depicted above, and my child should have equal opportunity to pursue the sport of her choice, not just a sport where the coach takes a libertarian view like the tennis coach, which should actually be the norm for all sports at OHS, in my humble opinion. I'd like to be an advocate for my child and others past, present, future who have been subjected to these or similar injustices and provide a beacon bringing awareness, just as others did to bullying, child endangerment, and the list goes on, which were swept under the rug for years before it took a tragedy to bring light to the catalyst. And that's it, I guess. Basically, the other thing I'd like to mention, she was co-captain on the modified team to just the previous year. So it kind of took a leap of faith there to go from there to being on the bubble and on the outside. Basically, just I feel like.
And she's changed.
Why
Since then.
would you limit the opportunity of any child, especially, I mean, JV sports is basically a breeding ground for varsity. It's kind of a minor league in essence. I know wins, losses matter. I get that. But wouldn't you want to incorporate as many interested participants at that point in time and bring them through the system to where there may be an asset? I'm sure there's countless examples of kids that weren't very good at all in 8th or 9th grade, hit the weight room, a light bulb turned on, and they became a good player by the time they were a senior. So that's it. I don't know if Justine would like to add anything.
What can I say to that? We have noticed a change in our child. She's a little bit withdrawn and very quiet. There's some friend things going on since she's not been involved in the sport. I can only imagine, what goes on in school, excuse me. To the fact, with social media and things like that, but it did take a toll on her. We can see it. We brought some information about how to choose people or how many students on a volleyball team and what would be fair if the situation if we found on the internet to share. But I would say that please, if any of you have children, look at the situation, leaving 2 out. We're not talking about 20, we're not talking about 12, we're talking about 2 children. You know, where people can do the right thing here, and get the kids involved, especially after going through COVID and see suicide rates on the news every day, going up, escalating. They need that connection, they need that team cohesiveness in their lives. So I guess I would just ask that, you know, something be looked at for future sporting at the school.
It's just kind of, basically, I kind of forgot about that part of it. It's just, this is off the internet, and they're two high school coaches. And the question was posed, what's the ideal roster spot? And it's just essentially their take on it, how they would say it. Essentially, they agree that 12 is basically the best. And when I did an internet search out of 80, I basically Google searched JV basketball teams and literally counted people on a picture. Very unscientific, but trying to gather information like that, I didn't really have an outlet for it. So what I did find was that out of 80, there was 14 that were 10 or under. The rest, 66, were at least, with 12 being prevalently the odd number out of the 80. Some, of course, more than that, up to 17, 16. Also bears mentioning that a lot of the 10 could have been the only 10 kids that tried out.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the, being cut from 12, 11, or 13.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we've got Mr. Sherlock.
I don't want people to look at my phone. I made it easier.
You're right, you're good.
You got your timer?
Yeah.
So I'm Tim Sherlock. I am a family member. I've got kids in all the schools and whatnot, many of the meetings. And one of the things that is very prevalent that I've heard all last year, that I spoke about all last year, and I'm hearing again this year, we lack communication. We lack transparency. One of the biggest deficits in our district right now is we have no trust. Teachers don't trust teachers. Teachers don't trust administration. Administration doesn't trust. It goes right down the line. It is being rebuilt. I do see that. But for example, with these people, we call and ask a question. We don't get an answer. We come to the school board. We don't get an answer. I try to review the minutes aren't on there, let's be honest, or they're very just bulleted, tell me absolutely nothing. Read the agenda, it's now condensed down. I have no clue what we're going to be talking about prior to a meeting, so it's almost pointless to sign up ahead of time. We come with concerns, and then we come week after week after week, and the train just keeps moving, and there's no resolution that we can see. But it's, oh, have faith, have faith. And I've done that. We're still behind on the DEI committee. I know we're moving forward, but at a snail's pace, which makes no sense to me because it was already established. Then we start this school year off, and I know it's being taken care of now, but the other piece of the communication is the board doesn't talk with their administrators. The administrators don't talk to the board. They're not talking to their teachers. I said last year, at the end of last year, I was worried sick about my son transferring to the high school. You dropped the ball. You did a walkthrough at the end of last year with a bunch of 8th graders. Here you go, this is the cafeteria, this is the gym. I hope you have a cookie. Great day. You didn't have schedules ready for them. You bring them up here a week before, here's your homeroom. Oh wait, but you don't have a homeroom teacher because half our staff's not here. And we'll give you your schedule hopefully on Monday, but it's subject to change. Find your way around. That's disgusting. And shame on each and every person here. Because here's the funny thing. Nobody said anything to the parents. You got the parent portal, and now that school's in session, I'm getting great things from certain administrators. I'm loving that. But you had all summer with nothing. You don't want to set our students up for failure, but you habitually do it. The policies, I could go on for days over. They're antiquated, they're outdated, the wording is awful. Our code of conduct is a mess. I've already had issues with that this year in reviewing it. Bullying is at an all-time high, which blows my mind, I don't get. We're facing huge budgetary problems. I don't see any conversation about that. I'm talking to the community right, left, and center saying, you know, your taxes are definitely going up. There's no way to save that. No talk about, hey, there's this grant you might look into. We might get these monies. Our student homeless population is exponentially climbing. But nobody's talking about it. It blows my mind. I have the same concerns and questions. What are we doing about teacher retention? What are we doing to bring some of these teachers back in here? I know that each and every one of you feel my pain. I'm friends with a lot of you. I know this, but I have to ask, what are we doing? I don't want to fight all the time. I want to see not just my child, but all these kids excel. I want to see our graduation rates climb and go back up toward that 90%. But I want that to include our special education program in kids, which historically it hasn't. Then I found out something very alarming that I didn't even know about. That up until recently, we had over 100 different fire that didn't work. Fire alarms that didn't work in our buildings. That were just replaced, but that we had issues with those. That's why we couldn't bring the daycare program, the after school program in here till those were corrected.
So about 10 seconds.
Okay, so that's my concern is that here these things are happening and none of us are being told. That's scary. I'm entrusting this district with my student, just like everybody else in the community is. We need to work together.
That's it. for speakers. Is that correct? Okay, we have a couple discussion items that we need to talk about. One is our virtual board. One is our virtual board meetings. As you know, the governor did not extend what was it, the order, I guess, so we now need to make a decision about whether we all attend the meetings in person or if we allow a hybrid type experience, which is what we have been doing to continue. Excuse me?
It's in our policy.
It's in our
But
policy.
Right now, our policy says that we can allow an exception,
We can.
I believe. I don't have it in front of me,
I don't,
but-
The executive order allowed for full virtual board meetings.
Yep.
So once that lapsed, we're no longer allowed that full board meetings virtually. So what we're discussing is whether we want to continue what our policy says, that we can make exceptions for board members, or if we want to make it exceptional that we're only all.
yes.
I'm open.
I mean, I did look at the policy and I don't object to the way it's written. It says it allows for someone to attend virtually for, specific reasons, like if they're out of town or if they're sick.
Well, we had that, technically, we had that before.
Well, we did.
Right, this is our old
This is our policy.
Yeah.
This is the policy that we're talking about.
We just incorporated.
Did we never, I don't know if we ever used it before.
I think it was rare.
I mean,
It was rare. I mean, when I first started Lori Branch a couple times, we weren't Zooming at that time. We were, what were we doing?
Skyping.
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 And I attended sometimes on my lunch hour, audit and finance committee meetings from Bolivar, because I was on the committee and I wasn't obviously able to drive from Bolivar here and then back again when they were held in the middle of the day.
Is this gonna be one of those things where we have to declare your, ahead of time, your location?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it will. So it requires,
So Zoom is
requires more
done
work.
unless you have, because that would be an extension of the boardroom where you have to allow people wherever you're at to be. part of
Yes.
the meeting.
yes.
All
Yes, so before the executive order superseded all of that.
So-
Now we're back to
Okay.
what, you know,
The original.
yes.
Okay.
Do we do this? Do we expect everyone to be here? If you can't be here, then you just aren't attending or what?
Most of the time we're all here, anyway,
Most of us are.
so.
One of our board members though is not. The one that's not here right now.
Is that still a 24-hour notice or 48?
If we're going to do video conference, it really should be on the agenda when the agenda goes out.
Yes.
Been a while.
It's also a requirement that it be listed where you're
Where you-
calling in
correct.
from, and that's an open.
It's an open
Correct,
meeting.
because what we,
So if
what we
somebody wants
did,
to join, they can.
what we did in the past on the board agenda, it would state video conference, the particular address, and then I would create a notice that we would have to post
Yep.
outside of the boardroom, and that individual at the other location would have to also post that
Posted it outside my classroom in the hallway.
that the public would
Yep.
attend. So if we're going to do that, we'll have to make sure that it's posted.
That's being done.
The way it's written is that you can do it like for matters of illness, so I feel like that having it, you're not gonna know if you're gonna be sick a couple days ahead of time. I mean, you're putting the agenda out on Thursday, if the meeting's on Tuesday and I call Mary and say, hey, I'm really too sick to come today, or my kid is too sick and I have to stay home, but I can attend, you know, through Zoom tonight if you put it on Zoom. Like, for example, we had a meeting last week that I had to miss, and my kids got sent home from school sick. The meeting was at 3:30. Had Zoom been an option that day, I could have zoomed in to that meeting.
I'm sure that if somebody gets sick,
So, I mean, as long as we're not, if we're writing it, the policy, so that it's actually affording for somebody to use it because it's a sudden type illness that they have to deal with, or a sudden, you know, reason that they're out of town that they can attend. You know, I don't want to limit it necessarily to the agenda on Thursday when you're posting it. Because if we're limiting it to it, then it's kind of getting rid of the convenience of that. Oh, shoot, I can't make it because of. those. I mean, if I were to be out of town or I couldn't make it because of that, I would certainly know
Right.
the Thursday before. I'd be able to say, okay, I'm out of town, but I can do it from my hotel room. You know, here's the address and I can tell you that. But if we're saying it's based on sickness, I don't
see
write a
where,
policy that limits
where is
it.
it? Does it say?
I think we're just defaulting this New York
I don't see
State
it
law.
says anything about sickness.
Yeah.
Whatever the law
The
is
the
there.
executive order,
So-
Mary, references sickness.
Oh, the executive
executive-
order does, but we're not,
Yeah.
but we're not following that executive order anymore. I mean, we're looking at our policy. that
I
doesn't-
believe in that email though that Dr. Morris sent
So you
us,
can't
it
Zoom it,
specifically says, these are the reasons that it could be virtual. And it was
it
based,
says that we can default back to our own policy, but it would need to be hybrid. There are some things that come along with being hybrid. We would need to provide video conferencing as described. We need to post the address of the open meeting. We need to make sure that this is now broadcast. So there are some nuances that come along with, you know, taking on a meeting virtual.
So if I understand something, my chair breaks down. I need to attend the meeting from my house. My house is now around the meeting.
Yes.
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 Oh,
According to our policy, yes.
okay, welcome.
But does it really need to be if the meeting is being held via Zoom and anybody can attend from their own home through Zoom?
Well,
I don't think you have to do it that way anymore.
If you go to the school law book and look up video conferencing, it states what needs to be done.
But has that changed now?
The school law book has not. No. I mean, the law may or may not require revision or revisiting, but the law currently is that. And so the executive order gave some reprieve from the laws that were on the books at the time. With the sunsetting of the executive order, it brings us back to this discussion.
so everything's pre-COVID right now.
Correct.
Let's either that or take the day
By
off.
all means, if my kid has strep throat and you want to come to my house and Zoom with me, go
Yeah.
right ahead.
Not even-
So
We
from
need
the
to
board's
have enough-
perspective, should we just go back to the way it is written as is, or should we send it back to be rewritten? I guess is the question.
Well, to what? So,
To in-person attendance only.
is it, if you're,
And I would say no, let's just leave it as written, but that's
we don't
my,
wanna make it too complicated.
Yeah, we say exceptions. We don't provide right now specificity in the
We do
types of
not.
exceptions.
Right.
So if you do need to do it because illness or something, that's covered under the exceptions. And as long as the rest of the board is okay with that. And more importantly, we don't have a full virtual meeting. We are not in violation of the law.
so I think we leave it as it is, but we need to be prepared to be in a hybrid situation for every meeting. That's really the,
So will it
The action
continue to be streamed live? That's my question.
Only if there's a board member who attends virtual.
So yes,
So do
I'm
we
assuming.
put that in the policy?
That's in the policy.
No, I'm
Sorry.
saying like, as far as when we hold these meetings, to have them be automatically like hybrid? Just in case something were to happen at the last minute? Or do we just do it by case basis?
I would suggest a case-by-case basis.
Because if you say it has to be, if you're putting it
Because I
in, it's
mean,
always being virtual.
You said if you put it in there as hybrid, like the policy is hybrid, then you're always prepared for a hybrid. Not necessarily somebody has to take advantage of it, it's always in there.
I mean, technically, for example, tonight, we're prepared for a hybrid situation, but we don't have to take that option tonight because our missing board member is not participating virtually. If he was going to, then we would then activate the hybrid situation. So we can accommodate.
Do we have to record every meeting
That's
currently?
Here it is.
We take minutes.
So we don't even have to be recording this right now. For a reason.
in case there was an overflow.
Professional courtesy. So we're going back to pre-COVID, for the newer board members, we probably should have a detailed recognized things of what we did before. So, because there are, look at the number of questions we got right now. So,
Well, it was, it was more of an exception.
yeah.
Kind of thing for the board meetings,
So we're
the
going
mini
back to that,
meetings,
so-
but for the board meetings, it was, that didn't happen very often. That we had somebody Skyping in or, but I'm thinking it might happen more here going forward, so we definitely need to be prepared for that.
Okay, so it's the trim previous policy done.
It's not reinvent the wheel.
Yes, all right.
And put and down.
Can we, like you said, can we have like, what is,
Get here,
like a whole like. list
Or
of
don't.
policies and things,
that's what I'd say.
So you want to do it out.
So we know like what we can. Like as far as, sorry, like as far as like, what can we do when we need to go hybrid, stuff like that, so it's.
We probably have that information from our previous lawyers and stuff. I think we take work on that. If we can find it.
Logistical question, because we don't always hold the meetings in this room, are all of our locations able to do that? Because if that's gonna be in the policy book, but there's some locations we use that aren't capable of doing it, doesn't that put us in a bit of a
Pain to set up, but
Okay, it's doable.
it's doable in most locations. We've done it at every building here so far in the last year.
We have,
It's just more difficult to do it this spur of the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, in multiple rooms.
I mean, I would like to say that, you know, we would really appreciate you being here in this room or wherever we are having our meeting in person. It is very challenging trying to run a meeting with people zooming in. And that I'm just going to say that, you know, we've all made this commitment. We've all run for the board. We were elected to attend board meetings. And I really feel like unless you have a very good reason, and if your child was sick, Kelly, I would consider that a very good reason. But for the most part, I think board members need to find their way to the boardroom for our board meetings.
I mean, as
I'm
somebody
just
who
putting
has
it out there.
Zoomed many times over the last year, it is certainly easier to be in this room.
It is,
I-
it is.
I
It's
don't
just,
prefer it.
it's not, you know, and especially when we have to go into executive session and out of this and into that and back into this, and did you send the invite back, and did we get this? And
Half the time you can't hear.
And
I
then-
mean, I,
sometimes Lassie's barking and, but it's just a challenge, so.
So
just
the
saying.
bottom line is we're pre-COVID, go back to the old ways, and that's pretty much it.
So is there a burden like on the taxpayers as far as like running the actual programs and having the extra personnel here to do stuff? I'm just wondering.
Is it a burden, Mike? I mean, over there.
This is your opportunity. to say-
Yeah, it's more of a burden on Mike over there. And he is a taxpayer, that's right. So, thank you.
Thank you for-
All right,
for-
so we beat that horse now, I guess. All right, we'll go back. We'll go back to that. We'll do that. Okay. DEI work group.
has not yet met.
When is the meeting? Do we have a meeting scheduled?
October 3rd. October 3rd. Thank you.
We have all our members
Yes.
picked and chosen and everybody's ready to get rolling. I just heard that, so good. And the district engagement group. Oh, I'm sorry, Lee.
Sorry, I didn't mean to tie it, so-
No, you're okay.
Who's in the? Because I'm not entirely certain who's in.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain who's in the group either.
Could be
Okay.
the roster.
I know it's not me.
Chart.
Okay, perfect. And the district engagement group is
So our big culminating event for the district engagement group was the awarding of our awards tonight. So we were really happy to be able to do that. So our next meeting will be spent trying to make sure that we covered all the bases that we intended to cover with this awarding these two types of awards, and to determine what the process is going forward for the next round of awards.
okay.
That's on our agenda.
Okay, good.
We're meeting again in November.
Gotcha. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Discussion wise on that? All right. Now move on to the board report. Well, we're awful excited. We're updating our policy manual.
Noted.
It's gonna be about a year-long event, but we are tackling it like, who made a nice tackle last night in the Bills game? Who could I say? I don't know, one of those players
Jen
anyway.
Cluster.
Jen, there we go, gotcha. Jen, can you tell us? like- Yeah, but we're not, we'll talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. But
Let's not go down that.
yeah, let's not go down that one. That's exactly
We could
right.
beat it all
But
night.
yes, so we are very excited. This is Vicky's gonna be well, she's gonna be that busy. She's gonna be working on it. She's excited
Busier.
about busier, yeah.
I know, that's why.
She's excited about this and we are too. It's something that that's been needed, as noted. And, you know, we do have policies that are, you know, adopted in 2003, you know, just some that I know it was revised, but still, you know, needs to be done. It just needs to be done. We agreed to it in our operations committee meeting and we're excited to go forward with that. So that's what we will be doing this year is updating. So you're going to see policies coming to the board like we have been. I do have to do a shout out to Dr. Geelan who really got on our butt about making sure that we were updating and looking at policies that were necessary and important and changing the verbiage and the wording and policies that no longer applied, moving them out because there's no sense in having policies that make absolutely no sense. So we're definitely excited about that. I also had in my notes about the public hearing. Do you know anything more about that?
I do. We are no longer obligated or going to hold the public hearing that was originally scheduled for Monday regarding the charter school.
Yes. Okay, so Morris alerted that to us, but we didn't know about whether we still needed to hold the meeting or not, but we do not. So, all right, well, those were the two things I had to talk about. So I'm gonna parlay it over to you and
All right.
have you talk to us a little bit on your superintendent's report.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And so I was going to mention initially about the public hearing, so no longer need to announce that. I just want to at least mention that last week was our homecoming week, and we had a wonderful time celebrating Olean City Schools last week. And so we were able to culminate our activities with the game and the dance, and everything was amazing for our students. It was very excited. I was very excited to see just all the school spirit, and everyone from staff and teachers and parents were all present and really excited. When I spoke to the mayor, he said he had never seen so many people at the homecoming game. So I was very excited to see all of that, meet all of our parents and just be part of that excitement. So wanted to mention that. I also spent the past 4 days at a conference for New York State school superintendents. That was a very interesting conference because I was able to learn, I had notes, by the way. I was able to learn a lot about our teacher pipeline work. I was able to make a lot more connections for our teacher pipeline work. We are trying right now to send our net far and wide to extend our offer for teacher pipelines to colleges and universities in New York. So we're not just localizing it only to this area, we're sending it up to Western New York. I've sent some offers for collaboration to Central New York. And while I was at the conference, I was able to reach out to others and say, you know, we're really interested in strengthening our pipeline to Olean. It's a great community. We want our teachers to come here and not just get student teaching experience. We want them to come here and set up their profession and be here for their career. It's a great, great opportunity for a teacher. So I've gone to some schools and they've said they have students who are from the Southern Tier and who are very, very happy that we're trying to set up these partnerships, because our teachers who are preparing in other areas, they really want to come here and be teachers. So I was very excited about that. And the commissioner spoke to us this morning about just that topic. So I was very excited to hear that this isn't just on our radar, and it's on other radars, and they're going to try and formalize ways to establish partnerships and to be flexible with certification requirements where possible to try and help encourage and retain candidates to be teachers. and administrators, of course. There was also discussion about multiple measures and our curriculum that's being developed in the state, so that was very exciting. And then lastly, I was able to speak to a lot of and do a lot of networking, trying to find advanced rigorous coursework for our students. So I think that I've been able to make a couple of inroads there, and I was able to find some old names and old friends, and they will be in contact to see if we can get that accessible to our students as well. So I was very excited about that. And so finally, we were supposed to have a special education update today.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the teacher that was going to do that update today is ill. So we are going to still do the update, but it will just have to be in the next week.
Okay.
Can I just give one more forward type thing? We are starting our curriculum committee next week on the 29th. Our first meeting and possibly our second meeting are really going to be Gen Plus going over what we are currently offering and what our current curriculum looks like, because some of us on the board really haven't had a chance to hear much about that over the last few years with everything else going on. So she's going to give a good overview of what we currently have and you know what we're doing, so that we can kind of, you know, the board members who are part of the committee can write down your questions and what it is that you know want to hear more about. And after she's done giving the presentation, we'll take all those questions if you get them to me, and we'll focus what we want our next agendas to be based off of what she's presented. Just so that rather than coming in and just starting and none of us know what's actually going on, she's going to tell us what we already have. And that way we all are on the same page. So I would encourage any other board members who aren't necessarily on that committee, if you want to quietly come and sit and listen so that you can hear the same presentation we're all getting, since it's not a presentation that we're doing at a big board meeting where everybody can hear it. If you have the time, it's at 4 o'clock next Thursday, and that would, you know, give you all the chance to hear the presentation. And then if you have questions, you can also get them to me and we can try and tackle those in other agendas. Because I know it's something that I've been hoping to have for a while now, and we just haven't had a chance to. So I'm looking forward to the presentation, and I think it would be good if anybody else has time to come and listen to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
And I'm not, we're gonna try and do those meetings in an hour, so I'm not gonna limit Jen to a single hour. So if it pushes into another meeting, we'll let that happen.
Thank you. We got
4
Yes,
o'clock next Thursday.
I do have to add, it was very fun watching the homecoming and all that stuff. The pep assembly was, those kids did a great job. Not that Jim Padlo and I would be biased at all, but they did a phenomenal job, that's for sure. So it was, I'm telling you. Last time I came and watched an assembly was when Lily was a freshman. So they haven't really done, I mean, I know they did little something last year or whatever, but this was a full-blown assembly and it was pretty exciting to.
If you want to see
to
it, and
watch.
you weren't able to be there on Facebook and Instagram, you can see the
Yes.
highlights of fun.
Yep, did a nice job. So just for our committee reports, we just had the audit and finance committee meeting. We canceled the buildings and grounds, and we changed the operations until Wednesday, the 28th. So did anybody have any questions on the audit and finance? Have we all had a chance to look at anything that you need Andrew to address for you?
Clean audit.
Clean audit. I would like to say congratulations to our school and to Jenny for doing that. I know they'll be back to tell us all the good stuff anyways, but
They'll be here to present at the next meeting.
yes, but we certainly appreciate that. Yes, pulled that right out, that's for sure. So nice job on that. We appreciate it. Okay, well, there are no questions on that committee meeting minutes. I will move on to motion to accept the consent agenda.
So move.
Thank you, Jim. In a second. Who was that? Oh, I'm. All right, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion is carried. I'm gonna figure out where I'm at here now. I'm looking up to- Okay, we're on to new business, number 9. Okay, I need a motion to accept the SUNY Fredonia affiliation agreement.
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew. A second?
Second.
Was that Lee? Thank you, Lee. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. I need a motion to accept the agreement for the BOCES distance learning classroom. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Andrew. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Letter C, we need a motion for the BOCES classroom lease.
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Lee. Any discussion on that?
Is that up or down the number of rooms from last year?
Yeah, you know what that is?
We keep track normally every year.
I looked at the amount, but I wasn't thinking about the classroom. I feel like it was close, 10 or 11, I
think it might be down. Up by one?
up, but I know, for some reason, I thought maybe it was 10 last year.
Can we remove one from Washington?
Yeah, but they have an extra one.
So it's close.
And it's for every so many like office spaces as well.
Yeah.
They consider it. I'll double check, but I think it might be up by 1.
Good question, Jim. Is there any other discussion except for the fact that we wish we could get more? Nice. All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Letter D, I need a motion for BOCES support services contract. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We need a motion to accept the week of February 6th, 2023 through Sunday, February 12th, 2023 as our Super Bowl of caring. We do this every year. It's huge.
I will move that.
Andrew, thank you. And Julio will second. Thank you. Any discussion on that?
Good plug for all the kids that participate in that every year.
Yes,
Thank you to our dedicated students.
yes, absolutely. So all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. I need a motion to accept the school volunteers that you see listed. Cole Anastasia J. Carpenter, football, Ashley Flanagan, Lita Green, school volunteers for our school year.
Move.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Kelly. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We need a motion to accept the award to school safety technology, or actually for the school safety technology to Stark Tech. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Andrew. Any discussion?
Yeah, it says not to exceed that much. So they can go up to it, and that's it. So they need to go above that, then
Board approval.
That was the only eligible bid.
There were 2 eligible. The other one though, wasn't there?
It's like a-
That you, yeah.
Correct.
The other one couldn't fulfill the whole ask
Which
either.
often means higher cost.
Yeah, they were gonna
Yeah.
sublet some stuff out too,
There were
right?
two-
Subcontract.
yeah. So there were two proposals, the face value of the dollar amount, the other one looks like it was a lot less expensive. Unfortunately, it was nickel and diming a lot of the aspects of it.
Yes, I figured it's not.
Yeah, and they were not able to do all 5 components of it, and they were outsourcing, they're not a local company, so they would outsource the installation of it to a local Western New York company, but everything with them would be remote.
Yeah. So this turned out to be the best choice. A lot of extra work for Jenny to look through, but appreciate it. And Ironman
Yeah,
will be here
start
too.
to.
Yeah,
Somebody smart enough to take advantage of it.
yeah, there you go.
Right?
Is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. I need a motion to accept the OASAMOA for the Director of Curriculum and Instruction. I got that out tonight.
So moved.
Jim, thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Andrew. Any discussion? Glad to give her the title that she deserves. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Same thing with our new Director of Special Programs. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? We'll say the same thing. It's good to give her that title as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. I need a motion to accept UNS Services contract.
Can we make a correction?
Yes.
The rate,
Mhm.
it needs, it's 2022 to 2023.
Oh, yes, sorry.
That's that higher, the 35.8 is the
Correct.
22.23.
I need a motion for that, sorry.
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Now we are on to personnel, number 10.
We need to make a revision to that as well.
Okay,
Delete Melissa Blackman, the appointment for the teacher aide,
okay,
and delete the resignation as food service helper. She'd like to remain
oh,
in
okay.
that position.
So can I have a motion to accept this personnel action that you see in front of you with the change that Vicky's just given us? Jim, you'll make the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dan. Any discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so that's letter B. And so are there any new teachers or teacher aides or anybody here?
In the back.
Well, so who are you? Oh, nice to meet you. Very nice. There she is. Wonderful.
You guys are lucky.
Welcome.
What was that?
You guys are lucky to have it.
Oh, good. That's great. My gosh, we're glad to hear
Welcome.
that.
Oh, she's our third grade at Washington West. Yay!
Wonderful. Okay, so welcome aboard. We're glad to have you, that's for sure. Informational items you see listed below?
Can we make a change to that as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we no longer have to hold a public
No,
hearing
so we can cross
for the
that out
charter
now.
school. And then like we're taking off the technology, October 6th. Okay,
Take that out.
number 3.
Okay, so we're busy.
We are very busy there.
And and I don't see the operations committee meeting that is going to be on the 28th, is that right? It's not because it got changed, right?
Right. And it's-
What time? That's at 4:30.
Is that 4:30, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a need for executive session?
It's not.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, then I just need a motion to adjourn from our regular meeting.
I will second.
Thank you. Julia. Back to my little. lines here. Any discussion? No.
You never have to ask for discussion for that.
Oh, all
Call the
those in
vote.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? That motion is